Okay, I'm now recording and share. Okay, I'm going to make it kind of short and sweet here on Mondays. I'm going to adopt the idea of doing the lecture on Wednesday. And on Monday morning, I'm going to do a review and a lab and help people with stuff. And I have put that out there as an announcement that that's what I wanted to do. I'm going to continue being here on Monday morning. If everybody quits coming, I probably will too, but nonetheless, I'm still going to conduct a review, and you will be responsible for anything that I say in the review. I'll try to make it really short and sweet, and as I'm helping people with their assignments, I'll go ahead and turn off the recorder so that I don't give a really long recording, but you are responsible for getting the recording from Monday, even if you don't want to, if I say it in Monday lab, it counts as lecture, even though I'm not going to go for a long time. I'm just going to make it short and sweet and get off the air. Okay, let's see. Today is what it was today. Today is Monday, September 9th. And let's see, and my icon is bouncing, so that means, Amanda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Yeah, a couple of things I wanted to mention, and you guys can help me out with this. I'm getting a lot of, not a lot, but a few programs turned in where the students have named it with their last name _DB. I must have said that actually I did say that someplace. I have done that in the past, was the way I did it. And it didn't work out very well because everybody had a different last, well, not everybody, but everybody different last names. And so when I'd get it, I'd have to go edit the code before I could run it. And as we go further into SQL, we start using that database name a little bit more. So I changed it to Scratch DB. And I'm just wondering where people are getting that part. I thought I had gone through it and gotten all of that out. It must be in some legacy file or something that people are reading. Anyway, I want your, get there. Okay. I want you to have two databases, please. And one of them will be named ScratchDB, and the other one will be named AP _DB, as they are showing on the screen. Now, don't worry about this one called ADV-DB. That's the Advanced Database class. You can look, if they're on your computer, just don't worry about them. But you might have one, for example, you might have one named Jones DB if Jones was your last name. So you might have accidentally new database. You might have done it like this. Database name is Jones. I don't think I have anybody named Jones. And the owner, you may be you. And you said, okay. And why? Oh, that's because I'm not I don't have the ability to create a database because I'm just a regular old user. In order to create a database, you're going to have to disconnect and then reconnect as the with Windows authentication. You connect with Windows authentication, yo, the administrator. Okay. So now if I connect with Windows administrator, well, Windows authentication, now I can, I create any database I want. So new database. I always do that. This is Jones DB. And here we go. Okay, So there it is. And I'm turning it in and I'm saying use JonesDB. Okay. And, or the student is turning it in saying it's how to use JonesDB because they read it someplace. And I'm throwing a fit over here. I say, you're naming your database wrong. You're naming your database. I'm jumping up and down and taking points off and yelling at you. And we don't need that. So here's what you're going to do. Okay. First thing is you need to delete the database. Okay. Now, remember, go to properties here and files. Remember when we were over here, we had this path to the files. Remember that path because it creates a couple of files over there that when you delete the database, those files don't go away. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Let's see if it'll let me copy it. Will it let me copy it? Why won't it let me copy it? I'll see. I can go Control C and see if it will let me copy it. I'll go Notepad. Yes, it did. So it let me copy it even though it didn't show copy. So I want to know what that is because that's where I'm going to need to use. I'm going to need to go to that place. Now it's always the same. So if you just make a note of it now, that's where your files are. And the files, there'll be two files over there that will be named Jones_DB. I'm going to have to get rid of those. Okay. So I've logged in as the Windows administrator, and now I'm just going to right-click JonesDB, and I'm going to delete. And it's really that easy. I just I check that little box beside him. I say OK, and JonesDB goes away. Now those files are still there. Okay, they're going to block me if I try to create another one named JonesDB. They're going to stop me because the files are already in place. So I'm going to need to go to this guy right here, Program Files, Microsoft SQL Server, and that jazz. So from C:, I'm going to go to Program Files, Microsoft SQL Server, SQL 14, I believe it's always 14, MS SQL and data. And it says I have to give permission as the administrator. Well, that's okay, I'm the administrator, so I just say continue. And I'm in here. Now be careful when you're in here because you can really goof things up. But where is Jones? There should be a couple of them in here named, where's Jones? I don't see Jones. Well, I guess it was empty, so it deleted it. Like, for example, here's Scratch DB. I was expecting to see two in here named JonesDB. If I were trying to create Scratch DB, and it's saying, no, you can't because it gives you some kind of a cryptic reason. The reason you can't create a database, even as the administrator, is because those files are still there. So in order to delete the database, you got to be the administrator. If I were to delete ScratchDB, I think, let me go do it. I'm going to delete Scratch. Okay, I'm going to press the delete key and say okay. Goodbye ScratchDB. Now I'm going to try to recreate it again. Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm going to say new database, ScratchDB. It's owned by me, S.W. Smith. I don't care if your username matches mine. S.W. Smith. I'm going to say okay. And it might give me an error here. No, it did not. I guess mine is set up to delete those 2 files. But if it doesn't let you do it, go look for those 2 files that are out there in this spot. And I did record this guy. Okay. And that's in the recording. So you'll be able to see it. So that's where you go. There'll be 2 files out there named what the database was, and you'll need to delete those. Yes, ma'am.
Is this the one which is due to
I'm trying to troubleshoot. People are not naming their databases correctly. People are naming the database with their last name _DB, which was an old way I used to do it. So I guess there's still something laying around in the that says to do it that way. People are doing it that way. I'm saying, please name it Scratch _DB. Okay. I'm showing you how to rename it. You have to delete it and then rename it. Okay. Anyway, it's recorded. Let's see. So you should have 2. Now we've been using ScratchDB. We're about to start using the APDB. When I'm working on a database, I simulate a production database. AP is accounts payable. So all of the tables are already there. When we're creating tables and things, I use Scratch. You can use Scratch for anything you want to. You can delete anything that's in there. You can do anything you want to. I suggest you not delete stuff out of the AP _DB. But if you do delete something, if you do trash something, it's real easy. All you have to do is run that create AP.SQL again, and it will put it back like it was when it was before you got it, however it is now. Fair enough? Okay. So we should have 2 databases, and I happen to have 3. I have one called ADV _DB, but that's a different class. So for this class, we have 2. We have APDB and Scratch. Scratch is like scratch paper. So we've been using Scratch. We're about to start using AP. Questions? Now, the most common mistake I'm seeing in the ones I'm grading, and I've got all of 3 graded, and usually if you don't have any problems with 3, you probably won't have any problems with module 4. I tend to just look at them both together pretty much. So most of the time, if you get 4, once you get 3 running, 4 is a piece of cake. The biggest problem people have is that they get the foreign key, the one side and the many side confused. So I have owners and I have pets, and I can't tell you really how to do this because I was trying to avoid saying, and owners is the one side, but think about it. How many pets can an owner have? 0 or more. Okay, that's why, and that's the buzzword that tells you this is the one side. An owner has 0 or more pets. Now, are they really an owner if they have 0 pets? I'll let you take that up with Joseph Heller. Joseph Heller wrote a book called Catch-22, where he got a lot of that stuff in there. You can't live permanently in a temporary shelter. You can only come and see me when I'm not in the office. Lots of that kind of jokes in it. Anyway, but 0 or more. You can have 1,000,000 pets, or you can have 0 pets. Now, a pet, how many owners does a pet have? Exactly 1. Okay, so that's the many side. Even though one of them says the one side has many and the many side has 1, but the many side has 1 owner. The one side has many pets. Owner. Okay. Which one do you drop first? The pets, the many side has to be dropped first. Always drop your tables. Okay. And always have that if object ID. That is not SQL, mind you. That is unique to SQL Server. It's not unique to SQL Server because every language, every SQL platform has it. It's just it's unique to SQL Server. Oracle has it also. It's just a different syntax. It looks a little bit different, not much different. Works the same way. Okay, so drop pets, drop owners, go. because before you do a create, always do a go. Then what do you create first? Create owners, create the one side first. Create owners, all of them. You got a primary key, and I think I asked you to do one constraint in there of check that the name is not null or something like that. I mean, I just wanted to demonstrate a constraint. I usually put not null constraints on everything. If you did that, fine. If you didn't, it's okay too. Then go, because you've finished creating that table, go create another table. Now, if you don't do go before and after create, you get some strange errors sometimes. You get some inconsistent errors. Sometimes it'll give you an error and sometimes it won't. And that's, you know, I either want it to do it all the time or not ever do it. So we're going to do go before and after. Anytime we say create, we're going to do create with other stuff besides tables before we get out of here. It's going to be the same way. Create, go, create something, go. Go is, again, is not SQL. It is part of the of our environment. Okay. So it's an environmental command that says, okay, separate this into multiple programs. And again, Oracle and MySQL have something like it that works like it, but you can't type go into anything else. Now, as far as create goes, creating the table is the same in every programming language, in every SQL implementation, I should say. So we create the owners table, go. Create the pets table, and at the end of the pets table, I always put it at the end, we have the constraint, the foreign key, referencing the one side. Okay. Now, I always get a lot of them where they're backwards. It's hard for students to understand that, you know, which one goes where. That's okay. And like I say, once you get that down, so if I say that a dog, let's say a pet, what's the pet's name? The pet's name is, I don't know, Fido or something like that. What is Fido's primary key? Let's say it's 1, 2, 3. And Fido is owned by Joe. What is Joe's primary key? It's 987. I'm making them up. 987. So what happens is in Fido's foreign key references Joe's primary key. So in Fido's foreign key is 987, saying he's Joe's pet. So I'm giving it to you in terms of a name, but only can do that because I happen to know that the names are unique. If I didn't know that, I couldn't do it. Okay. Couldn't tell it. If I had a million records, it wouldn't make any sense to try to tell it to you in that manner. I would have to use the foreign key and the primary key. Foreign keys always reference primary keys, and they're put in there. So each of the pets that you put in, that you're inserting, will have a foreign key that references one of the owner's primary keys. Once you have that underlying thing set up, and I just hate it when textbooks start throwing data at students, and they don't have this idea of how do you do a foreign key and a primary key relationship. So every time that we're going to do it, no, not every time, but when we do it, it's going to be a foreign key referencing a primary key. That's about all I had to say today. I'll now take questions, whatever. Question? Go ahead, please.
So here on the assignment 4,
okay.
These,
okay, I'm gonna come right back to you, because right now I'm gonna ask for, are there any questions that I need to have the recorder turned on for? Because I'm about to turn off the recording so that people don't have to listen to me, or people who are coming in and catching the recording. What I just said about the naming of the databases and the primary key, foreign key applies to everybody. So now I'm going to take individual questions. And the first thing I'm going to do is pause the recording so I'm not making a big file here. So pausing. Oh, I see somebody wanting to chat. how do you show the tables when debugging the program? Amanda, could you give me a little more information on that? How do you show the tables? Oh, you mean the data in the table?
Right. So the data when you're in the output box.
Mm-hmm. So you, for debugging purposes, yes, you may, if you just want to see the data, the easiest way to see the data is over here in the graphical user. I'm going to go to AP to show that. So if I go to the AP database, because it's got more, it has more data in it to show. I'm going to go to the tables, drop it down. And here I see all of the tables. For example, I know one of the top tables is vendors. That's the one side of everything. And if I right-click vendors, I think if I drop him down, I can see the columns and all that. But if I right-click him, and I'm going to say edit top 200 rows. Okay, not view. I'm going to say not select. I'm not going to do select. I'm going to say edit. That works a little bit better. And now you see that I see there are all of my data. Not only do I see all of the data, but I can change the data. So this is an interface that is just like Access. There is nothing wrong with a graphical user interface. The other way that you can see all of your data from here that isn't quite as good as that. Again, I'm going to use APDB just to show it. So select star. And that's what we're going to be doing this week, is select from where. So in lecture this week on Wednesday, this is what we're going to be doing. And so when I say execute, boom, I see everything down there. I don't know which you would rather do. Usually, if all I need to do is see that, I don't know, I'd do either one. I could do select from where. Probably I would open another query window, but I can also look at it in the edit top 200 rows. None of those tables have over 200 rows in them, so you'll see all of the data there. And if you were to go in here, if you decide you want to insert something, it won't, I'm gonna have to, I think you can escape out of it. I've got them all constrained against null, so I'd have to give them all values and then make everything match. And it's too much trouble to fool with. But if I wanted to put something in, I could. If I wanted to change the data and see how they worked, I could. If you want to change the data in the AP_DB file, just remember where that create script is. And if you totally booger it up, you just run that script and it fixes it. So we have a fairly forgiving environment for it. Amanda, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Now anybody else with a general question? Amanda, if you want to ask a question, you don't have to send a chat. You can just click your mic or chirp or something. Tap your cell phone. Particularly in lab, because it's like everybody else is talking in here. So. Okay, I'm gonna end the recording, or at least I'm gonna pause the recording now. Let's see, one other point I need to mention, we have the roster certification is due tomorrow. That's the 12th class day, and I've been talking about that. That's why I gave you things like Dropbox practice and stuff like that. If you have not done something and gotten a grade for it, even a 0, but you had to do something. You had to turn in something. So if you've turned in something, then you have attended. If you haven't turned in anything, you are in danger of being dropped by the registrar tomorrow. Okay. I don't see anybody that applies to, so, and I don't see anybody online, but I wanted to put that in the recording. It is important. Okay. Now I'm going to turn off the Okay, I'm going to turn the recording back on for just a moment here. This is the most common mistake in the insert. For example, I have an insert here, insert into pets, the pet primary key, the pet name, and the pet vaccination date. And there's the pet ID and the pet name, but where is the owner's name in that? So I'm saying, who owns Fang? Well, let's pretend it's Jane. I don't remember who owns Fang. Okay. I don't remember who owns Fang. You got this right anyway. I'm not really talking to you. I'm just doing it mostly for the recording. I'm waiting for the overhead to come on. But who owns Fang? Well, let's say it's Jane. What is Jane's primary key? Her primary key happens to be B5T6. I guess that thing's coming on. Yeah, it'll be on in a second. So what happens here is we say insert into pets, and we have to insert the owner's primary key there. We can see it now in the overhead in class. Insert into pets, the pet's primary key, this person named it POPN, P name PVAC date, and I've added to this one from up here the owner primary key has to be in that pet. And so who was the owner of it? Well, it was the person with the primary key B5T6. Now I'm not talking about, this is recorded, by the way. This is on the recording, so if you want to make a copy, fine. For that matter, you can record it yourself if you turn it on your okay, couple other points here. I was talking to Mariah a minute ago about, because I didn't see it, she had changed the order of these, of the field list, and that's perfectly legal. It's perfectly okay to change the order of the field list as long as you correspondingly change the order of the values list. The whole idea of having the field list means that you don't have to put the values in any particular order except that they match the field list. So you can do them in any order you want, backwards, forwards, it doesn't matter, as long as the values match down below. So since I have placed Jane's primary key in the O_OPN position, Jane now owns Fang. I don't know who I said to make Fang owned by. I didn't, that's not important to the example anyway. Okay. Well, pausing the recording then.